key and critical that we come together, we collaborate. We've got to pull all our resources together in order to conquer what's coming. Um, and I don't look at it as a discouragement. I look at it as I'm a competitor. And they've allowed us to have the most money and the most knowledge that we can now leverage. So for me, it's important that we all keep our eyes on the prize, understanding what my parents, your grandparents, my grandparents, our ancestors had to go through without any of what we've had. I think we've gotten comfortable and we can no longer afford to be to not be comfortable. So I'm on a mission. Mhm. And my mission, and before I think Lynette is still trying to get her things together. Before we get on the mission, I got to do my 5-minute commercial, understanding that again, I love creating billionaires. I got one billionaire to the record, trying to get two more in there. Who's gonna be my next billionaire that I can brag on? You gotta claim it. You gotta claim it. I got a couple of millionaires, so y'all gotta catch up. And it's real. So again, if y'all know anyone who is still interested in our cohort, I just started one last night. I'm still taking seats. My goal is to get as many in the game, provide all of my network. You hear me? Not network. My network. This is my resources. This is why I'm bringing on Miss Bryan so she can educate you guys on what this game is based on where we are. It's all about shifting. We all business is about pivoting. What it looks like today is not going to be tomorrow. It's always going to be a coaster, and we just have to shift. Um, I've also created in partnership with my developer, we are now offering you guys um, access to build and create your government con website. And right here is key. I do not want to see anybody with any more gmail.com trying to market to the government. I'm not going to give you a $4 million contract with a gmail.com address. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way. So if any of you have interest, it's a subscription model. He's going to work with you $45 a month. You have easy access to update and change, but let's get professional. Many of you have joined the GPI Community Connect. This is going to be one of the benefits that we'll be offering throughout those who join 2.0. This recording will only be in this community. Right now, everything is free. In the next month, we're going to make it more active. We're going to have more hands-on. We've segmented by industry. So we've already started industry tribe meetings with the healthcare facilities, construction industry. This is how we have to come together to collaborate because in this space, you cannot do this solo. You have to build a team, and this is a way to assist you in building capacity so that you can go after more. So I know there's a couple of them that are already in the community that are partnering and teaming. That's how we win. Again, you can go to the website, and I'm going to put the school.com link in the chat, and you can join and see it for yourself. But today, I am most excited to have Miss Bryan to present to us and her background, and just to have a conversation so that you can understand where we are and how it is necessary that we have, it is necessary that we use every vehicle that we need, I mean, that we have based on this time. And for me, again, when I look at the federal government, the federal government will always have contracts. It's almost like um, the hospitals, funeral homes. Those industries will always have a job in existence. And that's the way I see government contracts, because 80% of the work is done by contractors. So I'm going to introduce you all to Miss Bryan, and we're just going to have a conversation and try to get in all of her head and her knowledge base in the last years and experience in working in this space, and helping you all to understand this is where it's shifting. And so understanding this is the way things are shifting, how do we come together and leverage this as another vehicle? And I think a lot of people get confused when you look at schedules. It is not a certification. SBA's programs are certifications. The GSA schedules, which we're going to go into more depth, is a contracting vehicle. So, with that being said, Ms. Bryan, I am going to have this conversation. Can you just tell us a little of your background, how you got into this game, and then we'll go into a little more depth on how we get involved with obtaining these schedules. Can you unmute? Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely. And good afternoon, everyone. And Paula, use nothing but the truth. And you definitely you're launching for a message, and I hope that it get delivered because I concur with everything you said. Coming out the federal arena, yourself, myself, we OGs. I always say we OGs because we done been around. And I'll tell you really quick, but I would probably have to talk like a machine to get so much out really quick because I know time is of essence. But I previously worked with GSA for 30 years. I wanted those contracts. I started back in the 70s, so the late 70s. So there's a message in the bottle here. And I hope that I can deliver that message and inspire and empower you businesses to know that it's not a game and it's time that we shine and our capabilities shine because the government they're looking for us. So it's not like we got to be pressed to look for the government. The government actually needs you all. So when I started with GSA back in the many years ago, I worked in the acquisitions and we awarded contracts for 500 million and above. One of the things is that the government, we used to say, this is crazy. We're giving the contract to the same companies because they met the requirements. So I knew that there was going to be a change to this day and something had to give. So then they started now, as of today, the government wants teams. If you think you can go after an opportunity
okay.
alone to the federal government, you want to say something, Paula?
Yeah, I want to say, can you tell them what is the whole purpose of GSA? Why was it created? Just to give a little history for
Okay.
those who may not know GSA and what it
Okay,
really
because
means.
that's what
And
I was alluding to. Because,
okay.
working in the acquisitions, teaming is all what's happening now. So even when I went over to the GSA schedule program, that was a really big challenge. I saw that the government was utilizing that as the primary vehicle to give companies the opportunity to meet the requirements and to become more substantial to do business with the government. What GSA does in a nutshell, it stands in front of your company and it tells the entire government all over because it's one umbrella. Your company has to pass performance and your company prices are fair and reasonable because GSA put you on a contract, a 20-year contract, and they determine that and they negotiate the rates for GSA and they standardize their rate. So now what GSA does is make the ordering easy for the government. So what I was alluding to back then, many, many years ago, when they talked about privatizing the government, we was like, these are good government jobs, we ain't going anywhere. But Trump Technologies was one of the biggest government contractors on the GSA schedule. So he knows that businesses, things are done more effectively and in a timely manner. So what he started doing in March this year, March the 20th, if you look at the executive orders, he's mandating all the federal government to go to GSA. So back in those days, back in the offices when we facilitated contracts for GSA for other agencies, we didn't know that they were going to demolish that office and send them all to the GSA, entire GSA agency. So at the end of the day, it's going to rain with opportunities. So how do you're saying, I want to market to the government, I want to be a government contractor, the government buy almost anything you do commercially. I could guarantee most of the companies on here today are doing consulting. The number one item the government purchases is IT, number two is consulting. Anytime you can talk about your capabilities, the cost effectiveness, you're doing consulting. How you bill for it is where a consultant can come in and figure and help you identify how you're billing for that consultant. So you meet the requirements already because you're doing consulting. Also, GSA is the name of the game today. We have to have GSA contracts to get out. The government says more than one company that has GSA contracts can team and offer a total solution. In July the 19th, there was another executive order said that the government looking for consortiums on the GSA schedule. So I think, Paula, I can send you any information, I can answer any question, but really going into the GSA is going to be pretty detailed. What I would like to say is for these companies to reach out to me or look into the GSA and know what it means. And then we can set up a one-on-one or a call exclusively for GSA because it is so much of a demand. What we really want to do is get this unity together where we can work as a consortium, all of these companies on here. And what you're doing today is really setting these companies up. Everybody should be on here. We should see each other because we want to team with each other. Back in the days when they used to talk about, oh, I ain't going to tell them I have a GSA schedule. You want to tell your competitors. So these contracts are really huge in the government, in the consulting and the services area. They start at $5 million. Small businesses can get those contracts, but now you want to be able to team with each other and offer a total solution.
So when you look at the GSA, and again, it is a contracting vehicle, that process is based on, as you just said, what you currently are selling as a business and doesn't necessarily have to be with the government. And
GSA, yeah, if I can interject, GSA contracts are predicated on two things. Past performance, meaning you have to sold the product or done the services before, because you would show invoices to support that. And it also is predicated on giving the government the best rate. So if you build for a position or a product, you will give the government 1-2% discount. That makes them the best customer. If you give the government a penny less, as long as GSA determine that they're the best customer, that's what they want to see. Now, to get a GSA contract, they don't tell you how long you have to be in business, but they want to look at 2-year financials. So they want to look at profit and loss and balance sheets to show that your company has the contracts as well as you said they did with the past performances. And to just make, now you don't even have to be in business for 2 years. You can be in business for a year. But those are companies that has won contracts and still have to show when they sold the product or performed the services before with the invoices. So definitely you don't have to be in business for 2 years, but normally if you're doing a project management contract and you've been a project manager for many, many years, 15 to 20 years, or if not, you want to be able to meet the requirements and have 2 years. Don't have to have a lot. You can do 80,000 a year. So the idea is to get your foot in the door and get that GSA contract. It used to be different schedules. It's only one now. It's one multiple award schedule, meaning it was designed because if your company has a GSA contract for IT, you pick up accounting, construction, you can always modify and add that to your contract so you can be that one-stop shop. So GSA makes you a prime contract holder from the beginning. As soon as you get awarded a GSA contract, you are if anybody asks you, do you have any government contracts? Yes, I have a GSA contract, even though it's a vehicle, but it puts you in that prime contract status.
And there's different, like when I use a lot of times in the training program, I'll reference the GSA e-library as a resource for businesses to see who have schedules and to get a gauge on their price points. Um, or, and I think that sometimes leads to a lot of confusions of, well, what type of schedule do I need? They have an Oasis Mac, they have all these different types of schedules. And when
Right.
you look at GSA, it's like a catalog. Like I'm dating myself, the Green Stamp book, right?
Well, GSA, those Oasis and NA Stars, those are not the multiple award. Those are GWACs, government-wide acquisitions. They put them out, they get so many companies, and then they close them. The difference with the GSA Mass is those, your rates are not determined to be fair and reasonable because you don't have to show where you build or where you have or produced those rates before. So the GSA guarantees that you showed an invoice and you supported that you billed for that rate. So the GSA math is non-competitive. So regardless what your rates or what the competitive rates are on GSA e-library, you still bring in your past performance to determine your rates to be fair and reasonable. So you don't go to GSA e-library to kind of look and see what somebody else is doing it. So don't worry about it. You may have had a subject matter expert for $300 an hour. Someone else may have billed a subject matter expert for 150. You can bring that $300 an hour because it's not predicated on they're not competitive. So you bring in what you've done commercially. And just to touch on your past performance, it can be commercial end users, it can be, and that could be your next door neighbor. Anybody that you can show an invoice within the past 2 years. You can have churches, educational institutes. So that means that you can, even if you have not did work for a company and you never invoiced them, you can retroact and go back and provide an invoice because you did the work, and they'll justify that you did the work. So it's technical and it's very strategic, but it's all true. So you're just being able to show for the basis of the award what you have done and what you have billed for to get a GSA contract.
Yes, and I think when I had my schedule, and I said back then it cost me, I gave about $13,000 to get that schedule, and not understanding how to leverage. But it was because I had 40 employees, and I guess that's why it was so expensive. Because when you're putting those schedules together, like you do, you're providing the documentations, you're providing the labor rates that you've charged for that position, and you're going to have to justify it. So that's where your past performance come in into play.
Right.
Um,
And how
hmm,
I say this, how do you justify it? You justify it based on the type of invoice that you support. So say you did a
mm,
contract and it's a firm fixed price. So this customer paid you $16,000. The government says, you tell us what support that invoice. So now you could just literally take a pencil, write
oh,
down a program manager, $20 an
wow.
hour. So you tell the government. Now, if it's a time and material invoice, you have no other choice but to put in, because that invoice is going to show the position for the
Okay.
rate.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Um, and once you obtain those schedules, once you're awarded that contract, and again, I'm gonna use contract just to keep folks
It is a contract. It is a contract.
uh,
Yeah, it is a
that
contract.
vehicle, what is the typical terms and conditions of that award?
What do you mean, the terms and conditions of the award?
Like I knew when I had mine, I knew I had to have a minimal of a contract awards. Um, the accountability was pretty intense, meaning every quarter the reporting requirements was pretty heavy. Because my understanding was I was discounting my rates to obtain, that's the fair or the best market value. But I was also, if I had won a contract on that schedule, I would have had to pay a fee. And I think the agencies also pay you guys a fee. Is that what the industrial fee is? Is that
So the
something?
industrial funding fee and the agencies doesn't pay anything because the agency
Okay.
is getting the contract. So
Mm-hmm.
they're feeling comfortable because now they have a company to perform the work that is substantial because the
Mm-hmm.
federal government has determined that. So they're not paying anything because they're giving a contract to the, so once you get a GSA contract, you have to market it. So normally as a consultant, I would probably say 25 to 50%, 25 to $50,000, you will tell the government that that's what you're going to do each year. So
Mm-hmm.
any type of certification, these companies are investing in their in this, making their companies substantial, then they have to make sure that they advertise for their company. So even with the GSA, they will help you market because there's an office called FedSim where I worked, where we facilitated the contracts. Now with the new administration pushing everything to GSA, there's going to be so many opportunities, and you're going to be getting, once you get your company's price list loaded to GSA e-library, once you get awarded, you'll be able to have access and get first hands of those opportunities that are coming out in your specific category. So getting a GSA schedule, anybody can't just get it under any category. So you have to respond under the category that where your company commodity sits. So if you're doing IT, if you're doing construction management, if you're doing products, whatever that is, and once you get awarded a contract, you'll start getting opportunities and RFPs and RFQs for those opportunities. So they help you market, and then also you have to market yourself by getting your company capabilities in all of the small business offices.
So they have a separate database where their opportunities are posted. It's not necessarily on sam.gov, or do
They are,
huh?
most opportunities are on SAM. However, companies that are awarded, when they facilitate for other agencies, they're going to get firsthand at those opportunities. And you can't get them if you're not on the GSA library and your
Mhm.
price list is not open. So you will start getting more emails with opportunities constantly that you can
Okay.
respond to, whether they RFQs, RFPs, or RFIs, but you will be getting those emails once so GSA will help you market. And if I can just encourage companies that consider getting a GSA contract, because it's almost like the lottery. You can't win it if you're not in it. It's going to bring opportunities. So don't think that the government, like you said at the beginning, Paula, they're going to spend. I've never known the government to be broke. And a lot of those jobs
Mhm.
that they're people losing their jobs, they want small businesses in there. The new
Mhm.
administration believe in businesses. You feel like that employees has kind of messed up the government in terms of the budget and all of that. So he feel like with the work, when they talked about privatizing 40, 50 years ago. So now he feels like the work is being done more effectively and more. So I encourage, if you know anybody that has lost their job, get them on your team. Get them in the position so when you go after those opportunities at those agencies where he's let people go, if you have the past performance, you have someone on your staff that are familiar with the acquisitions and have that. So it's all about networking and it's all about teaming. So I do encourage everyone to start, let's show our faces, let's see each other, let's meet each other, let's build a big consortium. Because that's basically what you're doing. You want everybody, if we can get in line like the marches back in the day when they did the Freedom March. Okay, if everything going to GSA, let's get it. Let's meet the requirements, knock on the door, and don't leave without an answer.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
just stand there. But we got to connect, and we got
Right.
to. And the good part about you guys in Atlanta, I'm in the Washington D.C. area. I have clients all over the United States. So you want to network in other areas as well, because once you become a GSA contract holder, you can market all over the United States.
Mhm. I have one specific question. I would say 80% of my client base or students are real estate agents.
Mhm.
And most of them how does real estate and the leasing, how are we able to leverage their real
Yeah,
estate agent background with GSA and how they lease their buildings because they're the largest landholders in
right.
the world?
So, and I have the solution for that because GSA buy almost anything, remember? So in the real estate industry, GSA has a category um, for property management. You know, they give, there's a scope of work. If you go to GSA e-library and you put in property management, it tells you the scope and how they buy the companies that do that as a service. And that would be under the professional services, which is the number 2 item the government purchase. You may have products, you may have software. Sometimes companies that are doing real estate, they develop a software to help them exercise their projects. That's IT. So now they're doing IT and they don't know it. Government says anybody that sits at a system and utilizes software or hardware is considered an IT person. And remember those firm fixed price invoices, you can throw that in.
But like I see, like when I was at SBA, I know they were leasing that space. Is there a avenue for the agents to assist with the government in leasing any of their commercial spacing as it
So,
relates to a government schedule?
right, so they don't have a demand for that. They look for someone that may can buy 50 houses, sell them to the government, and the government buy them back. So it's a different type of arena, but as far as the GSA schedules, they have to perform a services. They don't just buy houses.
Okay.
But they
Okay.
do have a big demand. But when we talk real estate, let's talk about property professional service in the property management area. Let's talk about the design. So remember, all the military they need companies to come in and design the sports and be able to do interior design, and all of that will come under the real estate area. And then also there may be some facility services under the real estate. You know, maybe they're doing some infrastructure or some designing to the property or the building or whatever. So you have to really look at that scope.
And that's what that's where I'm training a lot of the agents is to remove the title and understand the tasks associated with that title in that industry because it really is program management. They're just managing everything to get that house sold. And so being able to separate that experience and being able
Right.
to sell it separately as
Right. So yeah,
does the real estate.
yeah,
Mhm.
so if you have many years of experience in the real estate area, then the government buy property. So now you come in with your consultant and you can tell them, how it should be done, the parameters, that's not my capacity, but that is how the government look at it. The government, we said when I was in the government, and you too, Paula, we sit there, my son used to say it's an 8-hour coffee break. So we sit behind the scenes. So the only knowledge that we had in the government contracting arena was the people from outside coming in with their ideas and their cost effectiveness and how the government can win and get things done. So that's in the real estate area. That's what the government want. They want somebody, especially with the administration and all the moving around. Because if I had to just take a guess what he's doing with these government buildings, he's going to downsize them. So who
Mhm.
can help him downsize other than somebody with that real estate management profession? So we really have to look at on how we can make a difference. And you can't do it with one company. You come in with a team of property managers under the GSA. Remember, the government said more than one GSA schedule holder can team and offer a total solution. So if you come in with all the different areas in that category, you're gonna win.
Can't win.
You're
You
gonna
can't
win.
lose. Because all of these contracts are structured for us to work together.
Exactly. That's
And
what he
that's why
want
I force
team.
them to work together in the program. I put people into teams to make sure
Right, right,
we understand the power of
right.
our collectiveness because that's what they really
Exactly.
want to
But I, I,
happen.
I strongly encourage Paula. I know it's Friday afternoon, and we have to come in with our do rags, with our pajamas on, let's network, let's meet each other, let's see each other. Because down the road, when we're networking, I can say we were on a Zoom. I feel comfortable because you can't just team with anybody. You have
Yes,
to have a relationship.
yes,
I've
yes.
seen too, I've been working with GSA Schedule for 42 years. So I'm no spring chicken. I'm 65. So I've
Mhm.
been doing GSA working with companies all over the United States. And at the end of the day, I've seen some horror stories. Can't nobody pick up the phone and say, oh, you in the real estate property management? Here's a company, reach out to them. They will steal your show. But if you
Mhm.
have a relationship where you're constantly talking to them and you're networking with them, then you know, hey, when I go to big events, it's like I know because I have a lot of clients that I have. So it's like I'm home. I know everybody, I see everybody, it's good. And I know the ones that I can trust. So when you got your business and you're putting your business on the line to the federal government, you want to make sure that you're networking, you're teaming with somebody you can trust. So the ideal is for us to see each other, get to know each other, and walk, shake hands together, and let's just make it work. Let's do it because we're gonna have to stick together.
Absolutely. I had a Miss Green. You had your hand up, Tanya. You wanted a question. You had a question?
It was answered. That's why I put it down. Yeah, while you were talking, it was answered. But the question was really around when obtaining a GSA schedule, are you saying it's better to go in a partnership capacity, so rally multiple businesses together to go after that GSA schedule, or are you saying that it's okay to get an individual GSA schedule, but when you're competing, you want to partner with
So
others who have GSA schedules?
So GSA is specifically on your company and your company capabilities, and
Okay,
your company is awarded a contract. Even if you have a JV, that JV has to have past performance together. Because remember, everything is determined on past performance. So now, once you get your GSA contract, that's when you want to look for teams. So in that way,
got
and you
it.
want to really look for companies that has the GSA because now you can offer a contract teaming arrangement. So you may see the increment CTA. That means more than one company can team. The difference with the prime and a sub and the CTA is that the government will tell you what you're going to do, and the government will tell that company what they're going to do, and you both still primes on the contract.
When you
So
say
once you get your
CTA,
contract, team with
CTA
other companies on this
acronym, I'm interrupting you and break it down. CTA, what's CTA?
contract teaming arrangement.
Contract teaming
Yeah, I
arrangement.
want you guys to study that because even if you consider getting a schedule, that's where you really want to be able to offer your consortium.
Mhm. Thank you.
And if you create a joint, let's say I don't have the schedule and I team with someone with the schedule through a joint venture, is that effective as well?
No, so when you have a JV, then you consider it a separate entity. So that entity is going to have a
Mm,
SAMS number. That
mm,
entity is going to have past performance. So you still have to be able, because it's a whole nother name. A JV is not going to come under GSA under your company name or the other company name. It's going to be the name of that JV.
which is interesting, whereas under the SBA's programs, when they create a joint venture, that joint venture obtains that certification. So
Yeah,
they're
keep
able
in mind,
to.
SBA is about the company, the finances, the family finances. GSA is all predicated on past performance.
Mhm.
So it's a total different, and it's a contract. And it's 20-year contract. Renew it every 5 years. But please, I mean, I am a consultant and I help companies every day, but I don't recommend anybody getting a contract or paying a consultant if they're not going to roll with it. You got to have that energy, that drive, and you got to. When the government think of insurance, they think of Geico, they think of Allstate. So when they think of property, they want to be able to think of your company. So you got to give that exposure is everything, networking is everything, and teaming is everything.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah, you're quiet today. What's happening? Hmm? Labrisha, I'm gonna call you out a little bit. How you doing, Miss Dawson? One of our success stories who have, I don't know, she's in a meeting. I don't mean to call you out like that. And she's been one who's she has 2 more years in the program. And what my experience has been as I've grown up is that in this space is most people um, tend to get the GSA schedule as they were exiting the 8A program, just to allow the agency to have another vehicle. Uh,
Really reckon. So the quickest way to do business with the government is GSA. They have a
mhm,
GSA contract. So I have companies for many years come to me and say, should I get my 8A first or should I get my, remember, GSA is a contract. 8A doesn't determine your rates to be fair and reasonable. It gives you
mm,
that set aside status that
mhm.
he's really, you got to be really careful now because look what's going on. He don't like diversity. The GSA schedule is not doesn't have diversity.
Are they still charged like the other agencies in meeting their set aside goals as a whole?
GSA is not a set aside.
I
GSA is a
mean,
contract.
like HHS, SBA negotiate. You got to give this percentage of contracts to small businesses. 5% for women owned, 5% for 8A.
GSA has never been in that arena because that's not a certification. Also, keep in mind, based on the executive order, Donald Trump said that March the 20th, he's mandating all the federal government to go through GSA. So once he get that infrastructure done, once they get the GSA people where they're actually trained and they're doing more, the GSA were all contracted people. So once he get them being able to do award contracts with the program managers, it's going to bring opportunities.
Mhm.
They're going to be coming out the woodwork from everywhere. So I like to see you guys get it. Let's get a piece of it. It's not diversity. It has nothing to do with your color, creed, it's all about past performance.
Mhm. And the typical time of getting that contracting vehicle, the processing time, because I know it's definitely been a backlog on the certification side of SBA. What's the typical, especially this year, in understanding how they reduced the workforce, your experience in getting these schedules approved?
So I'll be very honest with you, Paul. I've been doing this for 42 years. So those people know me. They don't know me by my name. They know me by my set over the phone. And I'm
Mhm.
not intimidated with GSA because when I submit companies to GSA, it's what's in the solicitation. So I know exactly what's required. So I've done awards within a month. Even with all this going on, most of my clients are awarded within 2 months. Then there may be a case where a contracting officer may be on leave for 2 or 3 weeks, then they're not gonna reassign it. So you may just have to wait. But at the end of the day, I don't really when I feel like, the idea of having a consultant is that I can push. I'm not worried about being on their bad side. I'm worried about getting it done. And I know that if they have everything they want, why would they have me waiting? And then too, I don't think I didn't leave with the big boys in
It's
my pocket.
relationships. It's
Right,
relationships. It's still
right.
relationships.
Right. So, and
Uh,
financials are really important. And I do want to say this, even if your company is doing less than 100,000 a year, make sure there's no negative on your financial. The government don't want to see where you may have put $100,000 in your account and you're taking it out the next day. So I encourage everyone that may be one to consider a GSA schedule, put some money in your business account every month, net 30. That's just something to ponder with. You want to be able to put something in your account net 30. Because GSA, once they do a financial review, they don't want to see negative and they don't want to see where you don't. Because remember, you told the government you have bills for these employees. So make sure that if you have any extra money, one company she took out of one account and put it in a big account like $500,000, and it didn't work for her because when they did that financial review, they saw that she had put that money, but had she done it on a net 30 and just put money in her account every 30 days, it probably would have supported her with but it was sad then, but since then, it's been over a year ago, I was able to go ahead and get her on a schedule once she showed consistency in her financial documents.
and 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 you may have covered this earlier. As I said, when I look at the GSA library, it's segmented by Pacific industries. So if I go after a training schedule, um, can I include other industries under that one schedule, or do I have to apply for each industry schedule?
So, so Paula, the way it works is that with the new, everything being consolidated into one mass schedule, so they used to have a lot where you could respond to this, respond to that. You can only respond to one contract vehicle category. Once you get awarded, you can modify any day of the week. Bring in, once you pick up other contracts, you can build that schedule. I know companies that came in with one, now they have 10 categories. So the whole idea is to build so you can become that one-stop shop.
Okay, okay. Um, do they still have the 2 year, you have to have an award under that contract, otherwise they will terminate the contract?
So here's what and they're gonna be looking into that even more now because there's so many companies that it's okay because there's so many opportunities all over the United States where they may want schedule holders. So keep in mind, if you don't, the government knows nothing is guaranteed. But what they're gonna wanna see if you get letters and you keep reporting zero, because you have to report even if it's zero quarterly. And if they see that, then they may send an ACO person to work with you. But as long as you can bid on work and you can show them, look, here's opportunities that I bidded on. So I'm trying, I'm doing everything. They pretty much won't touch you, but you have to respond and you have to make sure that that you respond to all the GSA emails. You're not, ignoring anything, but just let them know, hey, here's some opportunities that I've responded to. It's not we didn't get it, but at least they see you working. So the idea is to see that your company is moving. If you did 80,000 in 2023 and you did 120,000 in 2024, GSA like that because it's like you're pushing your company, you're moving your company up. And I want to touch on the industrial funding thing. It used to be a penny. They lowered it because they made so much money. It's 0.75%. And that is for the administrative fee. So when you get sales, you're going to have to give GSA a 0.75%, 0.75% of that. You have to pay that industrial fee, which is small. I have companies that report $200. Then I also have a client that report quarterly 11 million. So, that company has worked all over and really a big company in the government that's doing a lot of government contracts. So the idea is to get this contract and use it. Network, just put a lot into your company and the rewards are gonna be great.
Can you, because I know sometimes state and school systems use those schedules.
State and local government, Red Cross. Yeah, that's another thing. They're pushing more state and local government to use the GSA. So yeah, definitely you have other, and you can Google what entity uses the GSA multiple award schedule, and it'll give you a whole list of them, of the companies and there's some agencies that do a lot of $100,000 awards just to make sure. I think it's the National Science Foundation. They know that they deal with a lot of GSA schedule holders, and they may have opportunity for $50,000 or $100,000, but they know that you want to meet that quota when you're telling the government we're going to do 25 or 50,000 a year.
And are you having to update it each year or provide some type of reporting to maintain the schedule? Because they generally are awarded, what, 5 years, and then you're having to do, how does that process
Just
go?
have to do a renewal, just show the same thing and get another 5 years. But the only thing you really have to respond to is the IFF. So you want to say quarterly, here are my sales. Well, we didn't have zero sales. And then you want to make sure that once you get a GSA contract, the government constantly they make changes to the solicitation. So if you have a schedule, you have to make sure that you acknowledge and you're aware of those changes, and you just have to do an administrative mod, which is really simple.
Okay. I'm putting some notes in what you're saying in the chat. No one has any questions? Y'all are really quiet today. quiet and in the dark. Are you lost? This is overwhelming. Let me hear some feedback.
Well, I do want to say, when we talk about company and company past performances, sometimes people they may have a question that they may not want the general public to know. So I would love if anybody need a 30-minute consultation. I want to offer that to your people, Paula. And if they want to call me and they have any questions that they want to ask me personally, I'll give them that solution, and I'm available. So please, by all means, send me an email if you would like to have a 30-minute consultation.
I did put it in the chat.
Miss Paula, I want to say something. How are you?
Thank you, Miss Dawson.
Hey, Miss Lynette, I spoke with you before. I just reached out to you if your number is the same. I want to get on the schedule. I have all of my certifications, but what I'm being told from the government agencies since Doge has come in, a lot of the certifications may not be as what we need them to be. They say you better get on the schedule. So everybody, I implore you to go towards that schedule now because they're shifting the game up on us. So Miss Lynette, can you put your number in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
I see it. I see it. Thank you.
And I am going to offer Paula's team a Paula's fee. If I can say it.
Yes.
Paula's fee, Paula's fee, Paula's fee. Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Dawson, it's great to hear from you. And by all means, sometimes you can't say, oh, that's high or that's a lot. Don't look at it. Look at it as an investment. Having that GSA schedule may cost a little bit, but you can get $100 million. The company, I work with a lot of companies that started at $100,000. Now they're doing 100 million.
And it's intense. It's
an investment.
Putting that schedule together. So it's not going to, the cost is going to coming into play the larger the contracts.
Yeah,
that
it's an
you have
investment.
in the past performance. That's where it becomes labor intense on Lynette's side. It's not going to take, it's almost like the hub zone. It doesn't take me as much time to complete the hub zone application based on 3 people as it would for 40 people.
And I was going to say that, Paula, because I was called you Don, because that's your girl here. So at the end of the day, what I do is simplify the process. Because I've been doing it for 42 years, I know exactly what's required. So I give samples of the documents that I need. Out of 24 documents, I do most of the clauses. I do your commercial price list. I do your price proposal templates, the Excel spreadsheet for the government. So I pretty much simplify, give a sample of what I need, and I submit it on your behalf. I work with the government until I get you awarded.
Okay. And we have another one of the, thank you, Lynette. I wanted to shout out to Eve. She just joined us. Eve, I think Eve, can you come on for a second? If you can. Eve has done a lot of title searches. Contracts doing, is it title or appraisals? Eve, I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Nationally with the housing. And I think if you can share your background, I'm not sure if she's available. But again, everybody can play in this space because the government buys everything, right? Come on. Come on, again, was just my recent student who awarded the contract delivering rock salt. Her background is IT. So we can no longer hear me now. We can no longer sit on the sidelines. We've got to get in the game. And that's again why I also put the school.com link in there, because this is how we begin to collaborate. This is how we work together. We have no other choice, y'all. They're trying to erase our history. We're not going anywhere, but we have got to come together and work together. Monica, the recording will only be available to those who are part of the 2.0 community under the school.com.
Okay.
Was this helpful for everyone? Can I get 2 takeaways? Somebody. Y'all know I'm
Don't worry
feeling my
about it, but I'll
takeaways.
give you a personal recording, so you ain't
Huh?
losing.
Say what?
I'll give you a personal recording. You're not losing anything, so don't worry about that. But Paula, another thing you touched on, and I want to kind of retract, is when you was telling companies about how their companies should be like, first of all, you want to make sure your capability statement is up to par. Want to know government language. So you don't want a capability statement that the government got to figure out what do you really do. So you make sure you have that one pager, because the government don't want to look at a lot of pages. If you do a profile, a company profile, once you get a one-on-one with the government, then you can have that profile with the pages. But that one page could mean a lot for your company, showing that you have, and you also want to make sure that you're in sales. And I'm sure most of you all are in sales, because if you're in sales, you won't even get a GSA contract. And if you have a contract with the government and your sales are not updated, they can cancel that contract. So make sure you stay on top of your company, making sure your capability statement, your website. I encourage any company that has multiple capabilities, put it on your website. Nobody in the website business asks you, did you do it or did you sell it? You know what your company, just like in sales, make sure you put all of your NAICS codes into sales. So to make sure that you don't have to come back later and add them. You'll have them right there.
And that's what we're teaching in our program, to get them dressed up and ready to talk to the government and understand the language.
Right, exactly.
Um,
I love
and
your program.
again, because I'm sick of seeing gmail.com.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I found that I found
Let
this.
me just say, the more you put in your company, the more substantial you are. And it's definitely not, even when I awarded contracts on the inside, when we saw Gmail, we didn't even look at it. Because you got to put something in your company. But all of your different areas of expertise are really, really in line, Paula, on what these companies really need to do.
All right then, everyone. It is 101. I thank you, guys. You can download the chat. It does have Miss Bryan's contact information. Thank you again for your service in this community for the last 42 years.
I
Um,
know.
because again, all of it comes together. GSA, SBA, they all have to come together in order for us to be successful. And wherever they're shifting the game, we got to go with where the game is. If they're not, we no longer can go in and say, I'm 8A. You're going in and you're saying, I'm a small business that also have a GSA schedule that's offering these services. And if you need any other additional contracting vehicles, I'm certified as a woman and as a 8A. So we got to change our messaging, particularly now. Get rid of those pictures. They're gonna have to dig to find me. I'll make them work a little bit because we know the environment that we in. It's real.
Right,
It's real.
absolutely. Paula, can I interject one second? Because I just got a call from a company out of Atlanta, and I'm going to send her your way because she's new in the government arena, and we're looking to get her awarded any day. And her company is called On the Record. She's very inspired. She's motivated. She's looking for team and partners. She's really good. She's substantial, and I'm definitely going to send her your way. And that way, her name is Ronnie. So she'll be another good person that can take advantage of all of that you're offering and you're helping the companies. Because I do have companies that are doing very well in the commercial industry. So, and another thing, you don't have to have any government contracts or certifications to get a GSA contract. Okay.
And Labrisha, since you're one of my more seasoned business, can you tell the youngins, give the
Mhm.
youngins some words of encouragement as they continue their entrepreneurship journey? Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. I would say, please don't give up. And I know people say that all the time, but Ms. Paula, when you were just saying they have to dig to find me, I love that. We want to position ourselves as if we are a trust. And trust, somebody owns it, but you just don't know who owns it. So what we've led before with our black pretty faces and I'm 8A, now we kind of got to hide all of that stuff and just knock them out the park. But the GSA schedule is one of the things where you don't have to do the long drawn out proposals. and your pricing is already there. So this is going to be a game changer because now it's going to position you with everybody else. It's not going to have your black face attached to it, and your pricing is already there. Not saying that black is not beautiful, guys. We are, but we just gotta like who move my cheese. We gotta move with the way they move it. Like the guy said, we gotta fight fire with fire. Let's go, baby.
Exactly.
That's the closing for us. And thank
Exactly.
you.
That's on point.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all always coming in and us all learning from each other. It's all about each one teach one. We can no longer afford to keep the knowledge of what we've gained and not give back. So this is always a give back to me. Okay?
And I'm headed to Atlanta. And I'm headed personally to Atlanta. And I'm going to be there for a few weeks. And I would love to meet each and every one that's on here. I'm sure Paula and I are going to put it together. But at the end of the day, I'm just here to educate, motivate, and make it happen. Because before I retire again, I want to make sure that I help 80% of the small businesses get on that GSA schedule.
It's a game
And
changer.
utilize it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Paula. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Love you. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a terrific weekend.
Bye,
All
Miss
right.
Marlene.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Miss Marlene. And thank
Thank
you for
you.
showing the face. You're very beautiful. So now when I'm networking, I'll remember you. Also,
Thanks.
Monica, you too, Monica.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see the heart. I wanted to ask you another question on that.
We've been doing business with HUD for over a decade. We had a 5-year contract for the Northeast region, the 14 states from Maine to DC. That contract was renewed last year for another 5 years. But we have been doing a lot of, based on that experience with HUD, it's been a door opener for working with housing authorities. So, we've most recently got a contract with CMHA here in Cleveland, which is the 5th largest in the country, to do lead paint inspections. I've always, I've sat in a bunch of classes about or presentations about the GSA schedule, but I haven't done it. But it caught my interest when I saw your email. So I don't know. I don't know how I could use it, but
I can tell you exactly how you can use it. First of all, when you have contracts with agencies and you get your GSA contract, you want to let them know, let the COTAN know, I now have a GSA contract, and they can keep you busy, especially if you have a relationship with that agency. So because they have to justify a lot of awards. So being that you're a GSA contract holder is enough justification for any contracting officer to say they're substantial. So I recommend anybody that's on a government contract as a sub or a prime, let the COTAN know, hey, we have a GSA contract now. And they can place other work under that GSA contract, even if you have blanket purchase agreements. Okay. And there's no task order. Having that GSA contract, they can put work under those task orders for your company. So there's a lot to the GSA. And that's why it's so much of a demand.
And you don't necessarily, they don't even have to put it out for competition. They can like, oh, you have a schedule? I'm gonna give you an award.
So it's almost like a set aside.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right. Have a good one.
We'll talk, Paula.
Here's Lynette. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.